When you think about the intergenerational wealth transfer that's going to go on, what do you think about?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And if you're only thinking about it now, you're behind the eight ball. The train has left the station. I keep saying that, and it's absolutely true, especially when it comes to this topic. So what people need to realize about intergenerational wealth is it's already happening, right? So we're talking about so the boomers, which is my generation, we have the most discretionary income. But this next generation, basically, the millennials, although it's pretty much anyone born in the mid-90s and later, are going to inherit this opportunity to really think about investments in a totally different way. So when you think about those generations, so technically, the millennials or anyone born between 1980 and 1996. But again, look, my son's 26, my daughter's 21. I call them the Robin Hood investor, right? But in reality, these are kids who grew up with the internet, right? So anyone who's grown up with the internet, they see the world as very flat. It's no longer what they're taught at home, what they're taught in the classroom. It's what they see. It's what they've learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the internet. They're very tech savvy, they're very confident, but they don't have the experience that perhaps a lot of wealth managers, financial analysts, managers, etc. need to really understand how to think about their investments. So for me, it was very important that I get into their heads. My daughter's 21, my son is 26. When I left the Obama administration in 2016, after serving both terms, I studied these kids, I call them kids, for 2 years at Harvard. And I really wanted to understand kind of the social, political, economic way that they think and how they behave. And for them, it's kind of this one and done world, right? It's set it and forget it. Right. Technology means everything to them. They're very, very confident, they're very progressive, and they're very savvy. But again, they lack a lot of the world experience that my generation still has. So even here now in this economic downturn, this unprecedented economic downturn, this is where, in my opinion, the wealth management industry has a huge opportunity. It's no longer about taking them out to golf and buying them dinner. It's really kind of thinking about how to use technology and information in a totally different way. So if you're not already on their app, on their phone, and that's how they access information, if you're not already there, you're behind. You're behind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today, as I thought there's no better way to start today than with Rosie Rios, one of my favorite members of Ripple, discussing the future of this generational wealth building opportunity. Rosie Rios was the 43rd Treasurer of the United States, and she is one of the board of directors at Ripple. And trust me when I tell you, she would not harm her credibility and her reputation by getting on a board of a company that wouldn't be worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have to say. Her quotes ring in my ears, especially today as the X app has officially launched. Twitter has been rebranded to X, and Elon Musk stated himself, if done right, X would become half of the global financial system. And while I don't personally believe it will be half of the global financial system, X will be allowing the opportunity of using and purchasing crypto on this app. A lot of people believe that due to the X symbolism of Twitter and of XRP, that there could be some potential integration in the future. And while that is only speculation at this moment in time, it's not unfounded, not at all. I'm sure Elon Musk has in the back of his mind been paying attention to what's been happening with Ripple, XRP, and the end of this lawsuit in the United States. And oh, ladies and gentlemen, imagine if one day Elon Musk endorses Ripple and or XRP. The tidal wave of retail coming into the market would be profound. And I find it no coincidence that at the exact same time, Twitter has enabled XRP transactions with the XRP Ledger tip bot coming back to Twitter. And that is massive. The XRP tip bot was a great way to utilize Twitter and XRP and bring some utility to the masses. And I'm really glad that this baby is back. But now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to something that we've been discussing for a while. Here, from Thinking Crypto, We had a former SEC Commissioner, Joseph Grumfest, talking about the judge's decision in this case and what he believes could be some of the next steps coming on when it comes to decisions made as far as what the SEC is going to do next. This case is not necessarily over yet, and I think once it officially is, there will be absolutely nothing holding back Ripple's business model or XRP the token at all.
A lot of the public discourse is around the question of whether XRP is a security or not. There are other issues here that I think are intellectually maybe even more intriguing and may even be more outcome determinative. Let me give you an example. There's a Supreme Court opinion called Morrison, and it basically says that the federal securities laws are designed to apply to transactions that occur in the United States. And there's a strong judicial presumption against the extraterritorial application of U.S. law. And the lower courts have a variety of different doctrines to try to figure out when a transaction actually occurs in the United States. So one rule of thumb is, does the transaction close in the United States? Well, here's what's interesting. If you wind up transacting in XRP on a foreign exchange, that's not in the United States. So to the extent that XRP transactions are occurring elsewhere, right, in a foreign exchange, whether it's a security or not doesn't make a difference. The SEC can't reach it.
Right.
Now, more intriguing. What does it mean to confirm a transaction on a blockchain the way XRP is structured, which is a consensus mechanism, and it's an 80% consensus mechanism? Well, what does that mean? Suppose the node that gets you across 80% is located in Iceland. Well, does that transaction occur in the United States? Suppose that all of the nodes, right, that confirm the transaction are outside the United States. Suppose that, 50% of the node, we don't know. And then here's a separate question, and here I just don't know how the coding is it possible to look at the history of that blockchain and try to figure out where it was confirmed, who confirmed it, and who the confirming nodes were? I have to go back and look at that. The burden of proof is on the plaintiff, and if you can't determine where this happened, how do you establish where the transaction actually closed? So it may be that even if you decide that this is a security, and that's going to be hotly litigated, the SEC may not be able to reach transactions unless it can prove that they occurred in the United States. And given the architecture of the system, it may not be able to do that.
Right.
So by the way, so if that's right, the SEC in a certain sense can win the battle and lose the war.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, what's so interesting from what Mr. Grumfest stated is that recently in a Supreme Court ruling, a judge made it so that these type of security transactions need to take place in the United States. And Grumfest talked about how the hell are you going to try and track that with XRP? Ladies and gentlemen, this is so incredibly profound. This is so important. We already had a ruling on whether or not XRP was a security, and in and of itself, it is not. But Ripple sales to institutions are considered security transactions. Because of that, a fine will likely be paid, and a settlement is very likely in the works in this XRP case. But what you're going to be seeing over the next couple days is the continued copium and the continued denial of all these Bitcoin maxis and people that haven't even been paying attention to this Ripple lawsuit for any prolonged period of time. This is what's so frustrating. These individuals are spreading misinformation about the crypto market due to their own blind hatred of XRP. And you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to Jerry Brito and Peter Van Valenberg talk about the Ripple ruling.
I think it's, and we'll get to this in a little bit, but I think it's unfortunate that the judge here chose the specific labels of institutional purchases and programmatic purchases, or institutional sales and programmatic sales, to refer to these two categories. She could have picked any label in the world.
Yeah.
She chose those two labels, and I think that has caused some confusion because people think, well, if it's about who you are, what your position is in the world. Oh, so if I'm an institutional buyer, then I have certain protections from the SEC. But if I'm a mere retail buyer, like a mom and pop, then I don't have these protections.
It sounds like a classic inversion of the public policy rationale for securities law, which is to protect mom and pop and say that the hedge fund can go do what it wants because it's a sophisticated investor with money on its own.
What is this SDNY judge thinking, right? Yeah. Like, of course, she understands what the public policy of the securities laws are.
And no such inversion exists here because it's not about the buyer. It's not about being an institutional buyer versus being just a buyer on an exchange through the quote unquote programmatic sales. It's about the intent of the seller and what they put the buyer on notice of by their manner of sale. We can't go into the world and know what's in the head of everybody who buys corn at the grocery store. We can know that sometimes somebody stands in front of the grocery store and says, yeah, you could buy corn in there, or you could come over here and look, I've got this cornfield. I'll give you a huge discount on the future of all this corn. You're going to pay me up front. Like, then it starts to become a securities offering because now I've got all these additional promises about what I'm going to do with my cornfield. It's about what that person puts into the mind of the buyer. And so, not to pick Judge Torres's choice, it's just her choice of word. We agree with the holding, but the labels are confusing because it really should have been about manner of sale to institutional buyers. It really should have been about an investment contract, a commodity plus other promises, versus manner of sale to the programmatic buyers, which is just selling a commodity with no other warranties to those buyers. In fact, not even knowledge of who those buyers might be, in which case we can't say that you're putting those people on notice of your efforts.
And ladies and gentlemen, I 100% agree with the sentiment that John Deaton gave when discussing this particular video. I'm sorry, but this slight criticism of the judge selecting the words is completely misplaced. And before I read the rest, I'm gonna say this. It's absolutely frustrating sitting here as one of the members of the XRP community that have been looking at this case for the past 2.5 years every single day, watching the bandwagon of Maxis come out of nowhere, acting as if they know anything, one, about the law, or two, about this lawsuit. Read the complaint filed by the SEC in the motion for summary judgment. The SEC themselves called the sales institutional sales, programmatic market sales, and other distributions, and Judge Torres accordingly used the precise language chosen by the SEC to prosecute the case. Isn't that so interesting? John Deaton states the only thing more pathetic than Bitcoin Maxis guaranteeing XRP will be declared a security are those same Maxis now claiming Judge Torres will be overturned. And it's one of those things that really lets us know exactly where we stand in the crypto community. The XRP army is the crypto community's pariah. But hey, I guess not everyone gets to be a part of the new 1%. And poor Charles Gas Burrito keeps cementing his legacy against the XRP community. All he had to do was continue supporting us, not taking little minor tweets by some random account so personally. But here, he's calling the crazy crypto ruling Judge Torres made a crazy crypto ruling. He has zero fundamental understanding of the crypto space and consistently gets his facts wrong when it comes to XRP. And here we go. Continuing to antagonize this community is not going to lead to good results for him. And every single person that's hated on us is going to be left in the dust. Needless to say, my friends, we're continuing to push forward. No end in sight as Ripple continues to push their international dominance Ripple applied for a crypto license in the UK as well as Ireland. And we know that the UK is going to be one of the biggest crypto stomping grounds in the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, one of Ripple's biggest proof of concepts was with the Bank of England. And Bank of England was a known Ripple partner for quite a while. And here, seeing all these licenses coming on with synchronicity after the end of this case, in my opinion, is going to continue to lead to the perfect XRP storm. FedNow just went live a couple days ago. And here in the UK, the accelerated rollout of the digital pound is occurring in real time.
I want to make sure that we're at the forefront of payments technology. So I'm launching an independent review into the future of payments led by Joe Garner to help deliver the next generation of world-class retail payments, including looking at mobile payments. We're laying new legislation to give regulators the powers they need to reform rules on innovative payments and fintech services. And together with the Bank of England, we're exploring potential designs for the digital pound should we decide to introduce it.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, with all that in your mind, FedNow, digital pounds, Twitter rebranding to X and the potential of Twitter, mobilizing payments. We need to understand that today in the market there's been a mild pullback with XRP under 70 cents. And while some of you may be concerned, this is exactly where we need to be psychologically in the market for us to continue our leg up. We were too bullish for too long with too much euphoria. Now we've balanced out. I believe this week will determine the future of where XRP's price could go and whether or not we will reach a new all-time high right now, or if we're going to have to wait a little longer. But regardless of how you feel, right now is the best time to be alive if you're in that XRP community. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, please take a look at my aggressively average apparel store and our Genesis drop, where we have the Fuck the SEC lawsuit winning t-shirt, the 589 XRP t-shirt, and one of my personal favorite, the Flyest of the Fly aggressively average t-shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, we're making a movement with this brand every single day. And I've already seen the first wave of you guys receiving your apparel over there on Twitter. I'm making a beautiful art piece with all of you that submit your photos of you wearing this apparel. And I genuinely hope all of you continue to get yours before they completely sell out. There aren't too many in stock left, as we've had massive demand. And I hope you get it while it's hot. As always, guys, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.